Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about Sailor Moon Volume 8. Alright, this is an especially important volume because it really talks about the origins of Sailor Saturn, as well as shows more about the personalities of the outer senshi. So in this volume, basically Tokyo is getting destroyed by the power of Mistress 9 and Master Pharaoh 90. Outers are able to project a sort of barrier to protect the scouts in their general area, but compared to the damage that those of the Tau system are able to wreak, it's really useless. Their senshi are trying to combine their powers to stop the destruction, to stop it from spreading out of the city that they're in. But I mean, the power that they have is just so much stronger. The actual greatest foe to Mistress 9 is Hotaru herself. See her absolute strength of character as she declares, "I will not let you do as you please," even though she has no control of her physical form. She's determined to protect Chibiusa's soul and the legendary silver crystal. This is actually really impacting Mistress 9. As Mistress 9 struggles to fight with Hotaru's disembodied spirit, she takes power from the Sailor Scouts, who are just weak. They can do nothing to stop it. And we really see Usagi's desperation come out in this volume. Her friends are basically dead. Somehow, Hotaru is able to catch the souls and keep them away from Mistress 9, but it's not without great cost. Interesting to note that Hotaru says she feels a larger other me somewhere deep inside. That me is saying I should be risking my life to save everyone else. I see that me she is referring to is not the Death Sailor Saturn, but the reincarnated Sailor Saturn we see later. Saturn does return the host to them, but it is at the cost of her life. See, they all wake up here. And if we turn the page, we will see she's basically going to be saying goodbye as she awakens Chibiusa. I was able to save Chibiusa. I'm so glad, thank goodness. They say their goodbyes, and this version of Hotaru dies. Fun fact, this volume is where we see Tuxedo Mask actually transform. And I was surprised that it's very much like how the Sailor Scouts transform. I always thought he kind of was more of, like a Superman type. Like he took off his costume and switched to the other. But this makes actually a lot more sense because he does change on the fly. Hotaru's death does give Usagi and Chibiusa the motivation and strength to end up transforming into Super Sailor forms. In this volume, you really see Chibiusa and Usagi grow as friends, but also as a mother and daughter relationship. Partly inspired by the sacrifice of the Sailor Scouts Hotaru and Chibi Moon, Usagi decides to make the ultimate decision and attack the Tau system itself. Here we see a more mature version of Usagi that closely resembles the Neo Queen Serenity as far as the determination and strength of that version. What are you planning to do? She knows what she's planning to do. That smile means don't worry, but she's going to try to do everything she can, even risking her life, to save the others. She's full on diving into the darkness. Take the power of the moon chalice and the legendary silver crystal into the enemy's body and release it. I have a theory about this. I have a theory that when she does this, she actually dies. We know when Sailor Saturn is born, it's after Usagi enters. And we know that with Usagi, or with Sailor Saturn, she is the goddess of death and rebirth. So I truly feel like for her to be born, that version of Usagi had to die. But that is my theory here. She's awakened. It's like immediately after the jump. I feel that it hasn't been all that much time since the trigger was pulled to call me the last time. It seems I will forever remain the uninvited guest. And even Chibiusa, they're like, is she dead? I would say yes. Likes to say everything is predestined by fate, but was it really fate that brought her there? Or was it, in fact, the choices that others made? We get a beautiful image here of the moment of exact death that would happen to a planet. It's when Sailor Saturn brings down her scythe, and there's almost like the silence that goes along with the peace. There's like peace in this moment. The moment the world is ending, we see Usagi return. Now, Chibiusa calls her Sailor Moon, Super Sailor Moon. But look at how she's returning. She's almost void of like emotion, almost as when Sailor Saturn was born or reborn into her form. And this is why I get that theory that I think she's just another reborn version. Okay, let's look. Our costumes have changed. Okay, so everyone's going through this big change. Usagi looks different. She looks extremely confused, extremely devoid of life. This doesn't look like the usual Usagi. Okay, she's definitely goddess-like here. Okay, at the same time she's reborn, the ending is going to happen here. But the ending is going to happen for Sailor Saturn. Usagi seems to have regained at least her memory of Saturn. If she keeps going, she'll get sucked into warped airspace too. So she's very close to that area. But she says, you know, don't worry, with ending comes hope and rebirth. And the one to bring that forth is you, Super Sailor Moon. Okay. Sailor Moon, thanks to releasing the powers of the Moon Chalice of War and the legendary Silver Crystal, this planet can be saved. Okay, so she released the powers. They were no longer with her. But for that to happen, if the Silver Crystal is no longer with Usagi at that point, wouldn't she be essentially dead? This is the chosen land, Tokyo, where the silver millennium will eventually be built. Its sacred power is your ally. Okay, so now we see Sailor Saturn's going to be shut in, away from everyone. She disappears. And then Usagi says, with every ending come hope and rebirth. And then we see her transform again into what looks like, honestly to me, it looks more like Princess Serenity. But we see this staff that looks like Neo Queen. So I think for this Neo Queen Serenity to be born, Super Sailor Moon had to die. Even Mamoru calls her the Messiah. So she's like beyond them, beyond her old form. Oh, and then we get little Hotaru, so adorable. So the power of Neo Queen Serenity is able to reincarnate Sailor Saturn, much like how Queen Serenity, Sailor Moon's mother, was able to reincarnate the entire Scouts. Now, Neptune immediately races to the baby, and they all decide, we're gonna be her parents. Now, the Sailor Scouts have been very distant and yet still devoted Scouts from everyone else and almost from each other. Despite their relationships, they're all their own unique individuals, but Hotaru brings them together in a way that no one else does. Okay. It's interesting to note that their missions always take them away from the inner Scouts. You know, Usagi and Chibiusa, they're like, will we meet again? Yes, of course we will, Super Sailor Chibi Moon. We're your friends after all. We will absolutely meet again. Okay, why can't they raise this child with the inner Scouts? Why can't they be in close proximity? Is it because the Sailor Scouts the inners need to go on their own journey? It seems like they're always associated with joy and pain. The Scouts run to try to find them later on, and they're flying away. It's very dramatic, much like Sailor Uranus is, but it's also just kind of sad. Like, they're always distant. They're always doing their own thing. Even if you look at them, they're just more mature individuals. See next, Mamo, Usagi, and Chibiusa growing closer as a family. Our introduction to Pegasus and the Dead Moon Circus. Really creepy. It's interesting, both Mamo and Ray have premonitions about this Dead Moon Circus. Mamo's is actually associated with physical pain. If we look, Phobos and Deimos warn Ray, and she knows that this is an omen. She has a bad feeling about it. they end up, the 3 Tsukino members here end up getting separated from the group. This is important. They get the kaleidoscopes, which end up later having their own soul and becoming weapons for them. And you see how while Usagi may have matured in some ways, she still has a jealousy of Chibiusa, and that's where her dream kind of to be a child and, you know, have her way comes in, while Chibiusa always wants to be a lady. Okay, we get the Legend of the Mirror, which can take you to another realm here. Kind of relates to this Dark Moon Circus where he's like taking power from individuals. We get the Amazonas Quartet entering. More Helios and Chibiusa. Okay, there's the black spot, which shows where the Dead Moon Circus is going to be, and around the Juban shopping district. And Chibiusa gets the bell, which kind of signifies her relationship with Helios and how it's tied to her powers. Okay. Mamo is continually experiencing this pain, which I believe is connected to his own crystal and tied to Elysion. Chibiusa's stay is going to be extended because she can't currently go home. The space-time key won't activate. Okay. So it seems that the Outer's absence also limits Usagi's power. There's a point where she can't transform, and the Holy Grails disappear. It says, so the Holy Grail will never appear to power us up again. The Holy Grails will only appear when the 9 Guardians are assembled and their powers are pulled together. But the 3 of us aren't here anymore. So their absence limits Usagi's power. If they are guardians to her, they really have their priorities kind of mixed up. Okay. They are able to transform, but it's still not going to be to the same power as what was had before. Okay, they fight with the Amazonas Quartet. Helios is summoned. The kaleidoscopes activate. It's interesting. They're beginning to gain souls of their own. That's because both kaleidoscopes desired strong bonds with you right from the start. So now objects have souls. And they get the kaleidoscopes to activate. Mamo-chan is seemingly weakened every time Helios is summoned. Here we see the same window that was being talked about, which can kind of take souls to another world. That's what we're seeing here. They are of the kingdom of the White Moon, so they have been reborn into this world. Our queen, Helenia-sama, is in quite a rage. You are to curb your flashy ways. So now we're gonna get Queen Helenia coming up. She's behind all this. Okay, they're finding out about Helios. We've got the girls of the Amazon Quartet turning their pets into humans, which we know Fisheye and Hawkeye and Tiger's Eye. A lot of fan favorites. Okay, Mamo's just out of shape. And then at the worst time possible, the orb of the Amazonas Quartet takes over their wish and transforms them into, here we go, the opposites. So we have Usagi as a child and Chibiusa as a lady, which is always one of my favorite kind of scenes because I always wanted to see Chibiusa grow up into a lady and not an evil one. I loved Wicked Lady, but I like to see what Chibiusa will look like normal. So that is the conclusion and where we are left in volume 8.